Well, my early gut analysis of Bo Bergdahl has now been proven absolutely accurate. He was totally sheep-dipped. It was totally staged. They claimed that he was, had some mental problem and had been deep inside, Al-Qaeda, Taliban's control for all these years, and that nobody could talk to him. And now he's back on active duty, totally fine as an Army soldier. Just totally staged. We've got that report. Coming up, I'm going to play a clip that's up on drudgereport.com. We just posted it at Infowars.com as well. Black residents of Chicago slam Obama over preferential treatment for illegals. Will go down as worst president, they say. But again, they're expecting to get anything. They're already here. They're already prisoners of Chicagoland. Blacks' unemployment has doubled under Obama. They're the worst hit. They're done with you. You were supposed to be aborted by the Democratic Party. They wanted you dead before you were ever born. They founded the Ku Klux Klan, and they know how to put a black leader in to make sure they slit your throat good, and you like it. So get used to it. You think you're going to get some free ride from an El Jefe? They're only bringing in these illegals to exploit them as well. Let's go to Bill in Michigan, works for Homeland Security, he says. Then we'll go to Jason. Bill, what's your take on all these crises?
Well, Alex, first, thanks for taking my call, and thanks for what you're doing. My take on all of these is I think that basically what they're going to end up doing is they're going to continue to paint the opposition and the libertarians and constitutionalists as extremists, and I think that they're going to eventually say that we are basically the largest threat to the homeland and that we need to be eliminated. I don't know what they're going to do it. I thought that Clive and Bunny's Ranch could have been it, but I think they're waiting for another circumstance like Clive and Bunny's Ranch, and I think they're going to have a false flag and they're going to fire a shot. They're going to blame it on the Patriot, and then that's what's basically going to start the takedown of the right wing. I've been seeing a lot of stuff at work where they're basically painting us as more and more as extremists. I just saw a bulletin today that the right-wing extremists, quote, like Oath Keepers and the 3% are on a terrorism watch list. And it was really scary because I fit all the parameters that they're talking about, as so do you. So I think that's what they're doing. That's what they're planning to do to us.
Yeah, well, that's an escalation to say on a terror watch list. That's actionable. Man, if you could somehow snail mail us that or get us that info, that would be national news. We've gotten similar info many times, but nothing to that level. They actually said terrorism watch list.
It was a law enforcement sensitive terrorism alert newsletter, and they specifically talked about Oath Keepers and 3% that showed up at Clive and Bundy's Ranch and how we are getting more and more militant and more of a threat to law enforcement and the government, and I can absolutely send that to you.
Oh, well, please, and if you've got a safe email to send it or something else as well, send it to showtips@infowars.com with the information, in the byline, and I really appreciate your call. Anything else that you think is important to add?
I just think that, we got to be careful with who we're associating with. I believe that they have been putting plants into our groups.
Oh, yeah.
So be careful what you say to people, and be careful, to not say anything that could be used against you. Because we all know that we want to, restore the Constitution in a nonviolent way. We know that. But they're trying to paint us as basically Al-Qaeda. So just basically watch your backs, watch what you guys say.
Sure. Let me ask you this. Is this propaganda having any reverse effect on people in there? Are folks inside Homeland Security realizing, like they are in the military that I talked to, this is authoritarianism?
Yeah, a lot of people see it, Alex. And to be quite honest with you, I'm seeing more and more people, just grunt workers within the agency, that are starting to wake up.
Hi, I'm Dr. Edward Group. Today I'd like to talk about the war on women. You've experienced and heard about the benefits of Super Male Vitality. Now, the new formula has arrived. Introducing the new Super Female Vitality. I have specifically designed this formula to help the body naturally regulate itself without the use of artificial hormones. Key ingredients chosen from the highest quality sources. Each of these ingredients works synergistically with the female body in order to maximize overall vitality. You've heard the reviews and the feedback on how the original Super Male Vitality has revitalized relationships. Now, both the man and the woman can have the revitalization in their own bodies with Super Male Vitality and Super Female Vitality. Secure your Super Female Vitality today from our limited stock at InfoWarsLife.com.
All right, I'm going to finish up with Bill, a Homeland Security individual, and Jason. Everybody else can call in now. If you're in the Middle East, if you're pro-Palestinian, pro-Israel, if you see, like I do, it's tribal warfare being manipulated by the globalists, and Israel's going nowhere. They have nuclear weapons. So we need to figure out how to have peace, but the globalists don't want that. I want to hear from you on the Palestinian issue. We're going to shift gears into that and that only until constitutional lawyer Francis Boyle joins us. So that's coming up. The toll-free number to join us, just like we're talking about the globalists staging all these crises right now and where the military and Homeland Security people think it's going, we're going to then segue out of that, and we're going to talk. So I don't screen your calls, but sometimes I say it's on a subject about the Middle East and the bombing of Gaza and all the deaths and the rocket attacks and where you see all this going. 800-259-9231. But you can be in the U.S. as well and call in with your take and your view on this. 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. Bill in Michigan, you're saying you work for Homeland Security, and they've really ratcheted up the rhetoric against anybody right of Stalin. That's publicly going on as well, but specifically, saying they're terrorists, if you're in the Tea Party, basically, that's Harry Reid driving that ship. And that's the Southern Poverty Law Center, that if you're a pro-life group, they call you terrorist. The difference is they're now, as you said, moving Homeland Security from a mission of going after al-Qaeda to the American people. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, that's really what I'm getting at. And they're trying to turn the rest of Homeland Security against American ideals. And Alex, there's one thing I want to say about the Border Patrol, too. I know the Border Patrol has done a lot of crappy things, but I just want to let you know that I have a lot of friends on the southwest border, and they are on our side 100%. They feel like the government has abandoned them. They feel like they are dying for nothing. And especially they think about people like Brian Terry and Robert Rosas, Border Patrol.
I want to be clear. It's a constitutional federal agency. It's one of the hardest working, best agencies out of a sea of problems. They are night and day compared to, say, like the TSA. And they just work really hard. It's really rough. I know that. And I get critical when they're messing with citizens 80 miles into the country. And they're under attack, and the system's trying to demoralize them right now. We need to support them. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, Alex. And, there are still some, constitutional agencies that work under the enumerated powers. And my specific bureau of DHS has been around for about 200 years. So you can probably figure out why it works. But it is also an enumerated power. But, not
well, are you in the Navy? Or are you in the Coast Guard?
No, it's with Homeland Security.
It's Customs?
There you go. You guessed it. Yeah, I've been around since 1796. So, yeah.
When you said 200 years, I knew. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, they put that mark on my deal in Houston to really search my stuff and tear it apart. And the people there just said, this is pure crap. We're not doing it. I mean, in Houston, that's how crazy it is, where they have robot machines now removing the people. And then they can just put me on a list and not even let me in the country in the future. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I do. And you can also be put on a list, and you will never be told that you were on the list. You could be searched every single time, and they will tell you that it was random, but in secret, you're on a list. The system is called the Treasury Enforcement Communication System. The acronym is TEX. That's what they use for their silent hits on people, and I bet you have one. I would search you and look you up, but I guarantee you they'd find me. But you're probably on there. And that's what they do, and it's unconstitutional to do that to U.S. citizens. That was designed.
Yeah, I mean, meanwhile, I have no criminal record, and I'm not doing anything illegal, and they all know that, and I'm watching illegals just walk right past me, and it's just pure bull. And this is the authoritarianism, and it's just getting started.
Everything we said came true. Everything we've done has been right.
And we're running a special in the month of July that's already almost half over, where you can get 5.3 months free. 5.3 months free. That's what it comes out to, that you get 5 months plus off the cost of a year when you sign up with this special at prisonplanet.tv to get a bunch of ebooks, a bunch of films that filmmakers have authorized us to post in HD, all of my films, special live events, the nightly news, video and audio, commercial-free podcast. I want to thank everybody that have been prisonplanet.tv members. The site just gets better and better. It's now top-notch after 13 years of operation. There's archive videos going back 19 years on there. prisonplanet.tv. Become a member. It helps fund the very cutting edge of this media operation. The news articles, the reporters, the videographers, the researchers, the building team that we have here. It's not just Alex Jones and the radio show. It's about having depth to our reporters, being able to travel, not just here in the U.S., but around the world to bring you news that nobody else is. And I should cut a promo ad to inspire people to sign up, because a lot of folks are signing up, and that allows us to continue and expand. And I'm going back to your calls. Because, I mean, every month now, we're breaking big national or international news stories that then cause an entire debate and that cause policy changes. It is InfoWars that proved that Obama was purposefully shipping the illegals in and paying to deploy them. Now Congress is talking about it. Now they're moving to block it. This is a big deal. The Border Patrol said this was going on. No one would listen to them. So we went down there and confirmed it. DrudgeReport.com linked to it. And we were able to then see it really explode. But all the time, we see the White House even respond to us on the Second Amendment, on energy, you name it. And that means we're having a big effect here. And one reason we've been successful is we understand how the world works. We're not idiots. We read establishment, internal publications, declassified documents. We get an incredible amount of leaked information, a lot of which I can't even cover on air because it's so classified. And I just stick it in shredding machines. I don't even want to know. And people are like, well, bring this to us. I'm not getting arrested, ladies and gentlemen. The point is, I already know what's going on without even getting documents. It's just, this just verifies it. This is an evil takeover, okay? This isn't just Democrat versus Republican, or these people are playing for keeps. I mean, they're scary. And I've been told one reason I'm allowed to live and be left on the air is they think you're cowards. And they think I'm going to scare you by telling you how bad they are and that you're just going to cower. I think they've miscalculated. I mean, we're not the bad people. We're not the ones that say the state owns the kids and are putting deadly stuff in vaccines and funding Al-Qaeda and opening the borders. We're not the ones attacking Russia. I mean, I'm just a guy who doesn't want to be a slave, who wants to live in a free country. I'm not bad. And if they come after me or set me up or whatever, I mean, that's their issue. I would be more scared of not resisting them and speaking out and just quietly shutting up and watching the whole country collapse. I would be more concerned about that. I mean, I just can't give up on humanity. When people have an attitude that you can't change things, things only get worse. And I've seen incredibly positive things happen. And we're going to Jason, Rich, Derek, Andrew, Paul, and others. I'm seeing a huge awakening happening. And the old tricks the ruling class would use against people don't work anymore. And our whole world's in danger right now. A lot of people that work for the system at high level don't like what's happening either. They just don't know how to fix it as well, because it isn't just the elite that's doing this. Our own laziness, our own corruption, our own evil, and not recognizing evil has allowed this stuff to grow. I mean, here's a headline right here. Leaked data shows tenfold increase in Obama's asylum approvals. Daily Caller. and that's kind of a perennial article that comes out every week, but each week the news gets worse. They went to 80% of people not being deported from 90% being deported a few years ago, and now it's 99% don't get deported. The number of foreigners who successfully filed asylum claims in the United States almost tripled from 2012 to 2013. And that's just on asylum. You can say, I'm leaving the horrible tyranny of Guatemala. Yeah, to bring it here. They want you here because you'll be happy to have a bowl of rice and live in a cardboard box. And it's not that I've studied economics and how societies operate, and the system knows this. Ross Perot told us this. We don't rise ourselves up bringing in giant groups of poor people in this economy and in this socialist system. It barely works if you have no welfare. It's still a problem. But if you've got welfare, man, you might as well burn your house down. I don't need to go through the mathematics of this, do I? That if you get more than 50% of people, which we now have on the dole, they become a political class that will enslave you to get more goodies, and then finally it collapses. I mean, it's called game over. Game over, man, game over. So we're at the edge of this thing. If the FBI wants to sit there and read manuals and I'm a terrorist, you actually believe that, you actually think I'm the bad guy and Ron Paul's the bad guy, and that Al Gore and Obama and John Boehner are good, and ISIS is good, and the TSA's got to search old ladies but let the illegals in, then fine, fine. But I believe more in people that work for the system. I know you're corrupt and out of control and under peer pressure, but I don't think you're suicidal. Let's go ahead and talk to Jason in Florida, U.S. Marine Corps. Then we're going to get to some of these Palestinian-Israel calls about the crisis in Gaza going on with days of bombardment. And it's just a tragedy after rockets were fired into Israel. Israel is responding and targeting civilian areas where the weapons are kept. And there's a lot of collateral damage, and it's just a tragedy. Jason in Florida, your take on all these crises being created and where it's going.
Well, first off, I'll put it to you like this. I'd like to issue a warning to all the veterans that are out there, especially any that have been involved since 9/11. I served in a rifle company, for example, and when I was in Iraq the first time, they didn't mess with us. But then around 2007, 2008, in southern Afghanistan, when we would snatch up people, we would send them through basically a biometric scanner. They would scan their eyes, take their fingerprints, take voice samples from them. Point is, the way they trained those guys was to test it on us. So basically, they said they weren't even running the machines, but who's to say they weren't lying? You look around, you see all this scanning, all these, fingerprint scanners and eye detectors and everything you see on these surveillance systems around America at this point. And they're watching everywhere. Obviously, I don't need to say that. Now, where am I going to, and where are we going with all this? Iraq, the way that they are highly successful over there is with shock and awe. That was their original system. They go through, they storm into your house, and you see it on these movies, and everybody gets all hyped up about it. But that's how they're training the guys to fight. That's how we're training all of our allies. That's how we're training the Iraqis. That's how we're training the Afghanis. We're teaching them these same tactics that will be used against Americans. They're drawing down the U.S. Army. They're drawing down the Marine Corps. They're drawing down the fighting type infantry, basic man, boot on the ground, kicking doors. They're going to use foreign troops. Not a few months ago, I remember they had foreign troops that practiced invasion in Tampa, Florida, right here close to me. Bringing it home, that's it. That's the basic.
And by the way, I was told all this 20 years ago by retired military officers, colonels, generals, you name it. And I would roll my eyes at them because back then nobody was talking about this. So I got contacted by all these people. I mean, I had like Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Admiral Moore on probably 10 times. I mean, I talked to all these guys. And General Boykin knows what's going on. He's been warning people. I had a cough all day. Sorry, I keep getting stuff in my throat. And bottom line, keep going for a second, caller.
Okay. I look around, and this was back before I was, awake, so to speak, like you like to say. I didn't even realize at that time because, that was before everybody had a smartphone in their pocket. That was before I realized that there was a surveillance grid really watching us. That was before I knew that www didn't just mean, just wasn't the starting address to a website, that was actually a web, the World Wide Web that you talk about. That
exactly. And going back to those military officers, they said foreign troops will be used, I-4, the UN, and we'd always roll our eyes at that. But then they had NLE 09 and others where they admitted troops from 15 nations practicing to, quote, take on American domestic extremists. They really plan on doing this. And working with contractors and collaborators, they're going to hunt down the veterans in this country. And people say, well, they'll end up losing. That's the plan. They want to chew everybody up in this contrived crisis. And by the way, your instincts are right. MIT designed with the computer companies those systems where you take the digital photo and have the computer terminal and do that in Fallujah. That is the model at the driver's license facilities now, integrated in with the face scanning cameras that are going up everywhere. And they do have the veterans all in those databases. But more importantly, they've got heat resonance off the top of your head and shoulders with a fingerprint, and that's how they're tracking you. I appreciate your call. Great point. Alex Jones here for Infowars.com. We're going to be intensifying our efforts to awaken free humanity to the scourge of the globalist in the month of July. And starting this July 4th, we are going to slash prices in a celebration of true Americana, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence on all of the Made in America products that you will find at madein1776.com or InfoWarsStore.com. We're talking about Made in America belt buckles in brass and nickeled brass that state it loud and proud. Molon Labe. That's why we have the best-selling Made in America men's and women's Molon Labe Infowars.com shirts. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a win-win. You vote with your dollars. You support the most hardcore organization out there for promoting true ideas of libertarianism, constitutionalism, basic human empowerment. But more importantly, you get T-shirts and belt buckles so you can meet like-minded people. So you have a conversation starter with friends and family and coworkers. We are reaching out to each other. And you also throw it in the face of the anti-gunners and the rest of the parasites out there that you're a free man and woman, and that you're not going to be a slave, that you're not going to be intimidated to shut up by their tyranny that they call political correctness. That's why in the month of July, we have got giant specials on everything at madein1776.com. But to expand the InfoWar, we're offering the biggest special in the history, 13 years of PrisonPlanet.tv, our multimedia platform. We're offering the equivalent of more than 5 months free right now when you get a membership at PrisonPlanet.tv, and you get 11 memberships that can be used with the same username and passcode so you can share it with friends and family. Now is the time to fund the war bonds. Now is the time to fund the InfoWar. Now is the time to get aggressive. Now is the time to double down. Now is the time to realize you are the people that made the InfoWar so successful and one of the leading lights worldwide against tyranny. You don't stand behind us, you stand right beside us, and I salute all of you on this July 4th, 2014, and going forward in the month of July and onward. This is about freedom worldwide and that desire for human dignity and self-determination that beats in the human breast. We are brothers and sisters together in the true spirit of liberty and the animating contest of liberty. And so I quote in closing the great Thomas Jefferson that I have sworn on the altar of God resistance against every form of tyranny. And never forget, if you are watching or listening to this transmission, you are the resistance.